My name is Ralph Schorbach. I'm with Fairplex, or LA County Fair, and my title is IT Manager. A couple reasons. I actually involved in digital signage several years ago, and actually they got me on the advisory board now for digital signage. But we have a lot of, believe it or not, digital signage. We have our standard freeway sign, your 60 by 80 foot. We have some of the restaurants have digital signage in front of it, as well as we call our Finish Line Sports Grill, which has over 100 displays showing all sporting events, races, anything else you can kind of do wagering on and eat food and everything else there. So we just finished building our new conference center, which has all brand new digital displays, meeting room displays, and it progresses from there also to the hotel as well. We have a Sheraton on site that does digital display as well. We all sit as a group and decide what we want to do. You know, there's strong suits and not so strong aspects of the whole project. So at the end of the day, they always rely on me because we are the technology and most people don't know tech, especially the hotel industry. They have no concept what a bit and a byte is. And so they're always looking to us to say, this is what we want. And I have to take what we want, interpret it to, this is what you're really looking for if you know it or not. And so that's what my whole job was. So I basically handled all the AV, audio, video, data, digital signage, every technology piece aspect in the conference center, down to the electric doors, the lock controls, everything. Camera systems, all that fell under my umbrella. Yeah, from the groundworks, I mean, I literally was out on the job site every morning when they're laying the conduits in the ground where my plumbing goes. So all my conduits in the grounds, where they're all laid, make sure everything was fine. So I basically was involved physically from groundbreaking all the way through the whole completion, and then day to day making sure everything was set up, installed correctly, and verified, tested, and all that normal stuff. We do as much hardwire as possible. There's so much wireless on the ground. We have an airport on one side, we have facilities on the other side, and they all sort of bleed over and they cause us problems. And we have so much wireless on the grounds because we don't know what vendor comes in. A lot of vendors will come and set up their own wireless infrastructure, and we have to co-locate with them. So only thing that's really heavily wireless is our food stands because they are anywhere in the grounds. We're like any convention center like this is, so during an event like this, which could be held, the DSE could be held in our grounds, where Friday everybody moves in, the event happens over the week, and you rip it all back out. So I don't know where anything actually goes until the day of the event when they tell us where they want to put stuff. So you have to be kind of flexible and compatible with everything. This first phase was actually pretty small, probably less than 20 screens for the conference center. Then we're adding the menu boards, and then we're going to upgrade the system at the hotel, replace all of those. That'll be another 15, 20 screens. And that's sort of the basis. We've been testing this on-site software and systems for probably a year and a half, and it's going to eventually roll out across the whole grounds. And our grounds are over 540 acres, so we need connectivity across all that, and the portability for all the different food stands that they all have digital signage and menu boards in them. It's phenomenal. I mean, this is one of the few spots where you can get both software, hardware integration, talk to providers, content providers. You know, I call it piecemeal providers. They have the little widget box. Everybody likes a widget box, right? It connects this to that, and everybody needs one of those, and it's all here. I mean, this has been a really good source, basically, if nothing else, for resources. I met a lot of other venues, similar to ours, other convention centers, that are doing the same kind of thing, have the same kind of problem. So now I can talk to them saying, how have you solved this problem? And this is how we're solving it. So, you know, unfortunately being LA County Fair, we're usually the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to fairs because we're always the big boy, but it's always nice to find somebody else that has similar problems, giving us the ability to talk with them and say, hey, how did you solve it? Let's take care of it. Correct. It's kind of our clients. I mean, everybody has their weird niche, but I was talking to a USA News out for lunch today, and his green, green being new into the digital signage, but his take and what he needs is very similar to what we needed initially probably 2 years ago. So we kind of talked and say, well, if you go down this path, it'll make it much easier for us because we've already done the learning curve, but the stuff you can provide to us in terms of content and information, which they haven't done yet, is kind of beneficial to my side. If I do ticker tape or want news feeds from different media stations, they can supply the extra little bit that I can't get from other sources. So he's like, oh, we can do that. And I said, great, let's talk. So exactly, you know, things you solve. I'm really hoping integration. Because if you look at the whole thing, it's still a very disparate system, or multiple systems, because you basically have your hardware, your software, and then you have integration aspects of it. They all have to get tied together. A lot of them don't work really well together yet, and everything we touch and put together, oh, this works except, and there's always that little except, and you got to sit there and solve those problems. You know, the connectivity, or I wanted my picture to look like this, but this software won't work with this other piece of hardware, and those are the kind of things are the hardest aspects I really have on this whole system. But they've come a long way, and they've advanced a lot. The problem is, you know, I'm still challenged. I mean, I'm still here really to look at some hardware, which you should, in this day and age, I shouldn't even have to look at hardware. I mean, a screen's a screen, a computer, but do they really work well together? And these really don't all the time. And there's always new vendors coming, so I met 2 or 3 new hardware vendors, which I'm going to get some demos and sample of their equipment, test out, make sure it works with the software, with the screens we're using, and then we can roll them out. Being in the convention/fair business, we're not really like anybody else. It's always it's a fair, how hard can it be? But they don't realize we're running 50 servers, 300 users, the whole gamut, over 500 acres. And so a lot of these stores and stuff, they have similar challenges, but most stores or events, if they're as large as we are, they go through and they have already connectivity, most of them do, They have ways of transmitting data back and forth. But on a consolidated campus or a ballpark, there isn't really any topics on that. But that's my recommendation for them, so they'll come around on that. But they've been informed. I mean, out of every seminar I've been to, you get at least 10 to 20% like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, is that how you do it? Okay, So that's all I really hope to get out of it. I get at least anything above 20%, I'm excited, So, I guess it'd be the diversity. The one thing I would touch on is the diversity, because if you look at a campus that's basically broken down, torn up every day, most people don't understand, we have a fair, then we have year-round events just like this. We have many events. I mean, it equals probably 12 or 1,300 days you put them all in a row. Plus, we're all a foundation. We are a nonprofit foundation. We educate over 100,000 students, basically at no cost to them, for educational programs. Any event, any promotion, any fundraiser, they all need digital signage. So wherever they put it, either in the farm, in a building, on the rooftop, I have to set up displays, monitors, cameras, and you need the ability to take a single display and make it jump and pop with names of promoters, donators, and how do you handle that? I mean, that's just a wide breadth of, take a whole aspect. I have to include sales, F&B, food and beverage, hotel, conference center, foundations, events, and put it all together and make the technology work for them. And everyone has a completely different need, different aspect of it. And that's what probably makes it hard, and how to integrate technology, because everybody's so visual. How do I tie your cell phone into coming to the boat show or a computer show versus it's a closed event and it's a car question where you don't want anybody coming in. So there you kind of lock it out, but you need that kind of controls. And then it goes back to wayfinding. We've been sliding over years. We built custom wayfinders. I designed them because eventually I'm going to convert them to digital. So right now we put LED lights with battery packs in them, with solar panels to charge them, and they put sort of translucent signs in front of them. The goal is to change the translucent signs with digital displays. So now, hey, when you're walking into a building, you know where to go, what to do. And because we're portable, I have to think out of the box a little bit and say, well, I said, put the wayfinder in front of building 4. That's fine, except I don't know how the forklift driver is going to put it. I don't know exactly where he's going to put it, so I have to include a compass and a GPS coordinate. So when the digital sign says, go left to building 4, it actually goes that way, right? It isn't pointing the wrong way going, there's no building there, there's a lake there, which way do I have to go? So, it's those kind of aspects which really nobody incorporates here, because nobody has those kind of weird, unique problems, except for people like us that tear down and change it all the time. And the same thing on the trams. We're probably the only, if you get a tram, it's always rented from us. We are like the tram capital of the world, so if you rent trams, you see them, they're probably ours. And so what we do is, I have the same thing in there where I set up a sound bite, basically for lack of a term, it's an MP3 player in there with a GPS coordinate system plugged into it and a Wi-Fi unit. So as the tram drives around, it pulls up to Blue Gate, it says, well, you're now approaching Blue Gate, welcome, gives us a spiel about Blue Gate, and then loads the passengers as they leave. It says, we're now leaving Blue Gate, we're now proceeding to, and it's all pre-recorded based on GPS coordinates, it plays the right recording. So if you have to sit there 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's not going to get off because you're playing this loop tape thing that runs forever and breaks and all that stuff. So, and if a tram breaks down, he can go in the middle of the parking lot, he'll start playing the parking lot recordings because he knows what he needs to do. The GPS says, oh, in the parking lot, I need to play this track. And being wireless, when they park at night, it will download and update any new tracks you put in there and tell it how to play it. Yeah. So, and then we have the digital displays that play along with it. So each tram has a display in there with speakers that correspond to it. So it shows what's going on. But on the other side, you have to say they clean the tram. So at the end of the day, they're pressure washing it. So they're like pressure washing all my poor speakers. So I'm like, you can't do that. So I'm finding these super ruggedized speakers, still super bulletproof screens. And not so much vandalism. That's more because trams get abused. They're outdoors all the time, and they get cleaned and banged up. But that's the kind of stuff you have to take into consideration, which you don't see in a nice little display you see in these corners because they will never survive that environment. So when I look at that, when my bases in these things are probably 500 plates and 500 pounds of plate steel with forklift skids because I don't want anybody knocking it, stealing it, moving it, or doing anything else with it. So you have to really be able to build things Neanderthal sort of style. Yeah, and then of course it has to look good too. So now you have this custom powder coat with custom graphics all over. It's like, okay. Well, believe it or not, we're really small. We only have 5.5 do all that. So they allowed me to hire 3 more this year, so that'll be great, so help increase the staff. But right now we're pulling our hair out because we're working too many hours and not enough staff to get it done. But we do a little bit of a lot. That's why we have to be really efficient. That's why when we put stuff in, it's got to be bulletproof. It's got to set up once where all you do is, oh, let me just update your screen and I can walk away. It's not like I have to go redesign it every single time. That's why we use a lot of back house stuff we set up. It takes a long time to get things set up, but once we're out there, we deploy it. But like any other event, you do 90% of the work in the last 10% of the time, right? So, good day, my name is Ralph Schorbach. I'm from LA County Fair and Fairplex in Los Angeles. And we're all looking forward to the 2013 DSE show here in Las Vegas. So I want you all to come here, sign up, sign on. It's all here, it's all for you.